They're a rare find, so rare only 5 have been recovered in Florida.
A new piece of history has been discovered in Mansfield. A construction crew unearthed a cave from the 1800s.
What we found here is a partial skeleton.
Despite being so well explored,
What's the strangest thing you've ever stumbled upon? For Mel Waters of Manastash Ridge, Washington, it was a mysterious hole on the grounds of his property.
the USA holds some very intriguing mysteries.
There is a room in the basement that is filled with a collection of strange objects.
Let's dig in.
What a camera caught in Ohio shocked the whole world.
Number 1. The home of cursed objects. This house is owned by a couple who are proud owners of the Basement of Horrors. The basement holds a collection of cursed objects from all around the world. When people come out to visit the basement, they feel heaviness in their chests and go through all kinds of weird reactions.
We were both very interested in the idea of cursed objects. We slowly gained a reputation as being particularly good people for this.
Some of them faint, some throw up, and almost all of them feel anxious around certain objects. In the collection, there are all kinds of things. One of them is the cursed deer skull that a woman bought from an antique store. When she brought it to her office, people started getting sick. One of them was hit by a car. But then the strangest thing happened. The wall where the skeleton was hanging dropped down and took half the building with it. There are also other things like the deadly ring that takes the life of anyone who wears it within 30 days, and a doll that brings illness wherever it goes. But nothing was as horrifying as this statue that even the couple refused to keep in their collection.
A Bible used during a failed exorcism, and a doll that is believed to spread illness.
The small statue of a woman with nails stabbed in its eyes was found by a group of hikers. They took it home, and that was their biggest mistake. Pets started getting erratic, and they often found wet footprints all over the house. Overwhelmed by anxiety, they brought it to the couple. One of the enthusiasts begged the couple to give him the statue. When he came near it, his eyes rolled back and he started having a seizure. The couple knew they had to take it back from where it came from so they could relieve themselves of the burden of the cursed object. Number 2. The alien creature. One evening, a man was driving down the road when he filmed something peculiar. A strange alien-type creature was crossing the road. The creature had a bizarre head and a long tail. A lot of people started questioning the authenticity of the video, but later found that another video of the same creature from a different angle had been posted on the internet.
The video taken by the sea shows a mysterious creature. It's sitting on a concrete pier moving around. It looks like some kind of humanoid with beige-colored skin.
A lot of people called it an unidentified species of an animal, while others think it is an alien from outer space. What do you think it is? Number 3. The mysterious mineral stone. A man found a mysterious object at a creek in Hannibal. The man wasn't a geologist, but suggested that the inside felt like mica or calcite.
I found this in the water, and it's like a green glass. Almost looks like it's not glass. It's definitely a mineral, but
On the outside, it looked like green glass was embedded into the rock. If you look closely, you can even peek inside the glass and into the stone. But it wasn't clearly glass. The man suspects that this 15-pound stone is a mineral, but he isn't clear on that theory. What do you think it is? Number 4. The Star Child's skull. There was a lot of controversy when a skull was obtained by a couple in Texas. It had a huge cranium, much larger than the adults, and appeared out of this world. Many people called it the alien child. Since there was another skull lying just beside this skull that was normal, people even claimed that this weird skull was a human-alien hybrid.
Nothing unusual yet.
No. But this is what's unusual.
My God.
But the bubble of the UFO hunters burst pretty quickly when genetic testing was done. Apparently, the boy had some form of a disease that causes the brain to swell and deform. The child was reportedly 5 years old when he passed away, and was leading a difficult life due to congenital hydrocephalus. Number 5. Box of human bones. In the wee hours of the night, a resident heard juvenile voices coming from a distant garage. The person got incredibly concerned and went inside the garage. He stumbled upon a box with human remains inside. The resident called the cops, who came and took the box for investigation. They found that the decomposed human remains belonged to the Independent Order of Odd Fellows.
Last night, another neighbor heard kids in the alley behind his home. He walked out to see what was going on.
When he entered that garage area,
this was the building where the group had occasional meetings. They did move away after some time, but left their collections behind. The new building owner swept the building clean and threw their things in the garage, including the box of bones. The bones were found to be 100 years old. The cops believed that they were used as relics for rituals by the Odd Fellows. It is unlikely that the bones will be identified. Experts said that there were many unclaimed cadavers that were purchased in the late 1800s to the early 1900s for many reasons, and this could have been one. Number 6. The massive gold nugget. A person was walking down the river when he literally struck upon gold. This adventure maniac found the glinting gold nugget 4 feet below the water. It was pretty visible even from such a depth if you looked straight down in the river. The man picked it up and thought it weighed around 40 pounds. He claims that this gold nugget is easily worth $896,000. People are claiming that it isn't a natural nugget and that it was melted and buried here. They believe it was brought from somewhere since Ohio isn't a big hotspot for gold. Number 7. The Haunted Hospital. The Lima Tuberculosis Hospital was built far away from the population where the infected people were admitted and treated. Because of the high mortality rate, many of the patients never recovered and were left in the hospital to see their end.
No idea. What part? This looks like a bathroom. What do you say?
Since then, it is believed that the spirits of many of those patients haunt the building to this day. Many people who have visited the property claim that they have seen shadows lurking in the corner. Some of them have even spotted moving entities passing by at a fast pace right beside them. A few of the people were followed by unseen presences all throughout the building. They rarely saw anyone, but the strange feeling was pretty evident. Number 8. The Secret Cave. A construction crew was busy building a restaurant at an old building site when they came across a strange find. The building site had a secret entrance to a tunnel underground. When the man got inside, he was shocked to find that there was a cave built underneath the ground.
Stumps out of the hillside.
Until he got here.
I was very surprised.
It was from the year 1867. It was one of the few caves to be created in the city. The cave was found to be a cooling tunnel where you fermented beer when it was hot. You can even spot where the natural cave started and the man-made structure ended. Number 9. Devil's Tramping Ground. In a private property, there is a 40-feet clearing that attracts the attention of the whole country. The area is near a strip of forest surrounded by farm fields, and reports are that it has been like this for 3 centuries. Nothing has grown on this piece of land for over 300 years, yet the area around it could not have been more fertile.
This, a 40-foot near-perfect circle. Look closely. No trees, no growth, but a story that's grown for 3 centuries.
Once, an expert made his way down to the area to check if the soil had any components that were inhibiting the growth of the plants. He left without an answer. The compass goes crazy if you go near the area. Some people think that it is an alien landing zone, while others think that it might have some supernatural powers. People may have different theories, but it remains a mystery today. Number 10. The Two-Headed Snake. A snake breeder in Florida had a pet boa constrictor. It had produced an offspring that was unlike anything the vets had ever seen.
Spot for this snake. I guess I'm getting confused because this one's right here, so it looks cranial. But yeah, I think that's a heart, and I think that's a heart.
Wow.
The 2-week offspring had 2 heads, but both heads were quite aware of their surroundings, each flicking out separate tongues. The snake breeder brought it to an expert who did an X-ray on the little snake. It turned out that the snake had 2 hearts, 2 fully functioning hearts. It was found that the boa constrictor had a pair of Siamese twins that were born in the same snake skin. Number 11, arrowhead hunting. Arrowhead hunting is a popular hobby for the people of Ohio. This explorer was also on a similar expedition trip, and he found a couple of good finds of the native Indians.
Here's some more stuff from the past here, and I'm finding these hematite pieces around these.
The rain had washed down on the land, opening the chances of finding great things. The explorer came across glass, metal, base clay, salt-glazed crockery, an old brick, and much more. But the most interesting find was the hematite stone. These stones were used by the native Indians as weapons. Number 12, the bizarre waterfall. In Minnesota, there is a stream that splits into 2 ways near a large rock. One side of the river drops down 50 feet and merges with a lake, but the other side is where the mystery hides. The water plunges down from the other side and disappears. For a long time, nobody knew where it went. People even threw objects inside the deep hole and never found them again. It was like they vanished. Some locals claim throwing down a road sign and even sending a person down the hole. He never saw the bottom, even though he went over 20 feet under. But recently, scientists found the answer to the mystery. They believe that the water vanishes into the rock and joins the river back from the underground. This might have burst the bubble of many, but the mystery is now solved. Number 13, the mammoth skeleton. Imagine going down on a walk and you spot a skeleton. This is what happened with this farmer. He called the paleontologists, claiming that it was a cow skull. But boy, was he wrong.
The pieces having been brought to this place by ancient humans for storage of carcass parts in a pond, it was their intent to come back later and retrieve this when they needed fresh meat.
Under the fields was a massive mammoth skeleton that was nearly complete. It was an adult male, probably in his 40s. It might have been slaughtered by humans and kept under the ground for storage of meat. This is because the paleontologists also found a tiny fragment of stone tools and a couple of boulders near the skeleton. They also found a pelvis, jaw, tusks, numerous vertebrae, ribs, and both shoulder blades. Experts claim that it is around 10 to 15,000 years old. Number 14, the largest python. A gigantic Burmese python was found in Florida that weighed more than 215 pounds and stretched to nearly 18 feet. Back in 2022, it was the biggest python that was ever found. The records have been reportedly broken now, but only in terms of height. This python was too bulky to be ignored. 3 people had to carry it back to the facility. It was a female snake that was lured in by a male snake thrown into the area by the experts. The male snake had a GPS tracker fitted and helped the experts track down this massive female snake. The python had over 100 developing eggs inside its body. Moreover, there were claws of bobcats inside its stomach, showing how the python kept going for bigger and bigger prey. Number 15, the clinging jellyfish. This small organism is very much capable of putting a man in a hospital because its stings are quite powerful. The dilemma is that the pain does not creep up until hours later, and the person never equates it with a jellyfish sting.
It's on the lookout for clinging jellyfish in Barnegat Bay, where a fisherman found the first one earlier this month.
But the pain is so incredible that people are often hospitalized. It was the first time that this jellyfish was spotted in New Jersey. They aren't sure how and why the jellyfish had invaded these waters, but they believe that this species is kind of going global. Have you ever been stung by a clinging jellyfish? Number 16. The mysterious hole. The Mel's Hole in Washington is one of the spookiest mysteries of the country. Mel Waters was the guy who had found the hole in his vast property. He had called a show to explain the spooky nature of this pit he had found. The calls kept coming for 3 years, and they all seemed credible. But what was strange was what he was saying.
Of Bell's audience. The exposure on Bell's show catapulted the story of Mel's Hole into the mainstream.
Mel claimed that the pit was anything but normal. Birds avoided flying over it, dogs would get overwhelmed, and the radio devices would go ballistic near it. Mel then found a second pit of similar nature. It looked bottomless, and animals were avoiding going near it. He lowered a bucket of ice down the hole, and it came out transformed into a flammable substance. It wouldn't melt, but it burned for days. Mel called the show 5 times. In his last call, he claimed that the government had found out about the hole and they were offering him money to forcefully lease the property. He was never seen again. Number 17. Stuckie the mummified dog. In 1980, a group of loggers found a mummified dog inside a tree. Locals think that the dog might have chased a raccoon into the hollow tree, climbing further and further until it got stuck. The terrifying thing is that it was like this for over 20 years until the loggers finally found it.
It's fascinating. You can't stop staring at this poor dog, but it's not going to change. Yeah. And watch this.
But how did the body not decompose? It was found later that the tree had tannins that allowed the body to mummify and turn into a grim structure to be found decades later. The insects never found the body either, because the hollow tree pushed the scent of the dead animal up in the air. That turned the dog into a mummy. Number 18. The gruesome discovery. A fisherman was out in the Ohio River when he stumbled upon something strange in his depth finder. He suspected that it was a vehicle, so he called the cops. The officers knew it was a tough mission, so they prepared for the retrieval.
Police Chief David Benjamin didn't release specifics about the remains or the car, but believes they've been underwater for years.
After a few days, they extracted the vehicle and found not one but 2 vehicles lying in the Ohio River. One of them was an SUV with human remains inside. The other was a pickup truck, but it didn't have anything suspicious. Investigations were started on the vehicles to see if they were actually human remains, but there has been no answer yet. Who knows how many vehicles are in the Ohio River? Number 19. The strange trail. People came down to the beach and spotted a bunch of strange wooden poles coming out of the sand. At first, they thought it was from a ship, but later it was found that these poles were from a pier that was standing 600 feet tall a century ago. A hurricane in the 1940s destroyed the whole pier and left only a bunch of poles behind. Number 20. The secret basement. This basement was kept a massive secret. Anybody who mistakenly found his way to the elevator would be shot from the other end if they revealed its secrets to anyone around. Inside the basement, there are rotary converters. Back in the World War, they were the beating heart of the train system running above.
Standing 20 feet tall, were put down here in 1913 because developers wanted to build more profitable skyscrapers.
The railway system was part of transporting troops and weapons to the ports. Even throwing sand in these converters could have destroyed the machines and would have crippled the entire war effort. They had to be kept hidden. But a German spy leaked the secret, resulting in a fleet of German troops making their way down to the basement. Luckily, the army caught up to these sabotages and arrested them. Number 21. The Graveyard of Trains. About 90 feet into the water, divers found a graveyard of trains. 2 steam engines were standing upright as if being pulled into the train station. Even the smokestacks were visible on the train. Experts believe that the pair of trains are from the 1850s, but what they cannot figure out was how they sank into the water.
And most likely consumed long ago by marine-boring organisms such as the teredo worm.
They could not find any record of them being built or any record of them being reported missing. To add to the puzzle, they were quite well preserved, even though rust had sneaked into the locomotives in the past 160 years. Researchers are assuming that the trains must have been shipped from one state to another when the steam engines got lost in the water. It could have been a storm that separated this wreck from the others. Number 22. The town that vanished. A post on a social media platform riled up the internet into a big conspiracy. The post read a story about a town named Duvland, Wisconsin, and how it had vanished along with the people who lived there. The town disappeared, but there were still souvenirs left behind from that town. Some people even remembered the relatives who lived there. Even Google suggested Doveland in searches, but it always gave back an empty result.
Others from Wisconsin don't think this to be the case, with one local claiming that the supposed location for Doveland doesn't match those used.
Some people claim that their families who had passed away mentioned a town named Doveland. A bunch of military families used to live there. They think that a mission gone wrong swept away the whole town. Some think that economic struggle ate it up, while others think it is a mere internet lore. Number 23. Rare meteorite find. In Florida, a meteorite zipped through the sky a few years ago. But what people didn't know was that the fireball had made it to Earth, and a few pieces landed in the hands of a few lucky meteorite hunters. They managed to find 6 pieces of the space rock. All of them were buried, except for one that the hunters excavated. They were found to be over 4.56 billion years old and is one of the rarest materials on Earth. Number 24. Eugene the mummy. Back in 1928, an unknown black man was found on the road. The problem was that there was no ID on him. The cops found a small note in his pocket that read an address to an empty lot. There was a man named Eugene who lived near the lot. The cops questioned him and decided to call the body Eugene, and eventually it stuck. Imagine getting famous for that.
There he rested on a couch for more than 36 years. When people found out, they came from all over to see the bizarre sight.
The story was that he had come to Sabina to work, but never made it there. When nobody could identify him, the cops put him in an open shed near a bus stop, all dressed up. This may seem bizarre, but that's how people identified unclaimed bodies back then. 36 years passed by, and nobody came to claim him or identify him. After that, the mummy was finally put to rest. On the internet, he is a legend, but in reality, nobody knows the man. His life, death, and identity remain a complete mystery to this day. Number 25. The Grand Canyon. Scientists use rock layers to tell the ages of the places on Earth, but there is a problem when they tried to do it with the Grand Canyon. It had huge gaps in between the rock layers that makes it harder for the experts to get the age of the Grand Canyon. In some of these areas, there are rocks that date back to over 1.4 to 1.8 billion years ago. These rocks are just above the rocks that date back to 512 million years ago. This wide gap in the rock layers is a mystery that no one has been able to solve yet. Plus, many people have sneaked off items from the Grand Canyon, although it is not allowed. The authorities received those back in packages and letters claiming that they were cursed. There might be no answers, but a lot of questions. Number 26. The old bottle. A woman was walking at the beach in the early morning hours when she found a strange aqua bottle on the shore. She picked it up only to find that there was a message inside. The woman took it home, and the family spent a few good minutes prodding the bottle. They then opened the cork that filled the room with a strong stench. Inside was a piece of paper and a business card. The bottle was from the year 1876, and the note mentioned a pleasure yacht named Neptune, based in Atlantic City. The woman claims, as per her research, that it is the oldest message ever found in a bottle. Number 27. The Giant Cross. You might have spotted a bunch of things near the sea, but have you ever seen a massive cross washed up on the shore? This giant wooden cross that is easily 20 feet long came up to the shore, showing signs of sea life. People had a lot of theories about how this cross's origin, but the mystery was solved pretty soon. Apparently, the cross was put up in North Carolina as a memorial to a captain. The hurricane blew it away. The search lasted for 8 hours, but the Coast Guards couldn't find the massive cross. But this is just one of the stories. Many people have been claiming ownership of the cross. It rests with the Ocean Manor Beach Resort for now. Number 28. Thousands of blue jellyfish. People were startled when they spotted a huge wave of blue jellyfish on the beach. The blue blobs appeared dead and immobile, but experts had an answer ready for this strange phenomenon. Apparently, after every 3 years, this happens at the beach. At this point in time, cleaning was already underway.
These jellyfish, nicknamed blue sailors, keep washing ashore. The reactions range from
mushy
to they're gorgeous, but overall, they aren't known to sting and don't pose a threat.
When a huge fleet of jellyfish raided the beach again. This happens because they are swimming quite close to the shore and the wind blows them away in the wrong direction. They have small sails that catch the wind and throw them to the shore. Number 29. The Abandoned Castle. The Franklin's Castle is the most haunted place in Ohio. Its story goes like this. Hannes Tiedemann lived in this castle with his wife, 4 children, and his mother. After nearly 3 decades of living in this home, his 15-year-old reportedly passed away of diabetes. Within a span of 4 years, his mother passed away, then his other 3 children, and finally, his wife. The strange thing was that the actual causes of death of the 3 children and the mother were never reported. It is unclear what is true and what is gossip. But one thing is certain: whatever happened at the castle left it haunted and eerie. There is a room inside the castle called the Cold Room, which is about 10 to 15 degrees colder than the rest of the house. It is believed that Hannes's mother passed away in this exact room. Tourists also reported doors opening and closing, the sounds of loud footsteps, things vanishing and then popping up in different places, children giggling and radio turning on and off on the phone. It is all pretty creepy, and nobody knows what spirits haunt the place. That's all, folks. What other mysterious thing keeps you up at night? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.